So, Master, in this journey of the self discovery, clearly says that we need not to do any action. Yeah, Sam, I'm making the things clear again. So, we don't need any action, any effort to know the real self. When we say the real self is of the nature of peace and happiness, let us take happiness. So, what exactly we are looking for? We are looking for happiness should be everywhere, at all the places. That is what the mind looks for it. Your mind never says, oh, happiness should be in my house and I'm going out. So, even if the happiness is not there, who cares? No, you cannot say that. I want to be happy everywhere. I want to be happy at all time. You do not say when I go to the restroom, then only I'll be happy. Uh, otherwise, we try to do that. We are upset and somebody knocks the door and we stretch our cheeks. No problem, I'm happy. Later on, whatever we do, we know it very well. So we want to be happy with everyone, at all places, at all time, with everyone, right? Now, another point that this master discusses in the future verses that then we will take in detail, but we are desiring, we are looking for happiness which is nearest to me. How can you say that? Compare the physical pleasure with an emotional pleasure of crush. Emotional pleasure is near. I want that more. No, leave that. Look at those great people who are totally absorbed in researching something. They don't care even the emotional pleasure. And then someone talks that the real self, you are the real self, your nature is happiness. So it demands a lot of courage that makes you a seeker. So that spiritual journey, looking and listening and doing the practice, we find it is nearest to me, isn't it? Now, mind, when looking and analyzing that I want happiness everywhere, I want happiness all the time, I want happiness with everyone, it should be nearest to me. What it means that I am searching happiness that should leave all the effort, all the action. I don't need any effort. No, America is famous for weekends. We don't want to do anything. And I should be happy. It's another matter that we are more stressed. We feel lonely. So, if that is our desire, that happiness should be present with me all the time, everywhere, with everyone nearest to me, without any effort. Without any effort. What kind of happiness that should be? That kind of a happiness should be my nature. If it is not my nature, I have to make an effort. Do you see that? If it is not my nature, then I have to make an effort. But now think opposite way. I want that happiness which is all pervading, which is present everywhere, at this moment, at next moment, in every relationship. The same mind in delusion, if you are a non-seeker, you contradict. We contradict that happiness. How? Do you remember how we contradict that happiness? I want the happiness that is everywhere, all the time, everyone, with everyone, should be nearest to me. It means I cannot make the effort all the time. So my mind is desiring happiness without any action and effort. That is why we think that we are going to celebrate weekends. Weekends means we don't want to do anything. We don't want to do it. So if we are not a seeker, we contradict this every time, every moment. How come? Now think, if I am attached, can I get that happiness? We are contradicting. Do you see that? I'm single. Let me find out someone, get married. I'm contradicting. No, marry, I'm not saying I'm not against anything. I got married. I have 2 kids. So I'm just simply saying that when I'm seeking happiness in marriage, that is the problem. So if I'm attached, I'm attached to something that is limited, so I cannot get that happiness all the time. If I desire any object in the world, projecting happiness, am I not contradicting myself? How come? I want happiness everywhere, at all the time, with everyone, nearest to me, without any effort. Am I not contradicting? So that is why the master says, practice, effort, action will not help you find that real self. That is known as existence, consciousness, and bliss. No amount of wealth and possession, no amount of pleasure and repetition of the pleasure, no amount of satisfaction by anyone, anything in the world can meet these requirements. So then the seeker says, how can I not desire real self? When? All the time. How can I not leave other desires? Why shouldn't I leave the projection? Why should I project happiness everywhere? So when the mind starts thinking in that way, your mind has stopped wandering. Do you see that? How can we not stop, dissolve, and destroy that attachment, that delusion, which is created by the false I? Now, first is understanding happiness everywhere, without effort, with everyone, at all time, at all places. Do you want happiness only in the bedroom or not in the living room? Oh, just thinking that. Do you want only happiness with your honey, not with others? If you are more happy with others, the honey is not going to spare you. So that is why the master opens our mind and intellect, that let us understand this happiness. I want happiness all the time. at all places, in every condition. That is only possible without any effort. That is already present. That is not created. That is not produced. That is not manufactured. That is why we say the real self is our real nature. And that real self is existence, consciousness, bliss. It is here and now. Mind wails it. I remember long back in 1982 or 83. 82. I had done my undergraduate. I was in master's. So even before that, 1980 or maybe 80, I purchased a radio set, a long radio set, 50 cents, and used to listen to Voice of America. Because, English is my second language. So in those days, I used to open it and I used to listen. Even I did not understand that. So in the beginning of this journey, when you are becoming a seeker, your mind says, no, I don't understand what the heck you're talking. I go to the restaurant, I get happiness. I married, I got the happiness. I have all kinds of pleasure. So you see, I'm giving that example of the Voice of America. I did not understand, but still I used to listen again and again, again and again, again and again. And then I had the word dictionary, which is very famous in India. Then I used to find out the words and its meaning. Voice of America is here in India, in US, and I used to listen there. So first, what is that instrument? The instrument is radio. Can I prepare my mind as an instrument to pick up that real self? That is that example I'm making. I have to prepare the mind. I have to become a seeker in order to pick up that real self inside. That wave of wisdom inside. That wave of wisdom that will take me to the real self. And that is why we say only the self inquiry. If I didn't have the radio set, I cannot listen to it. But it does not mean that the waves of Voice of America is not present in my room. It is present. Same way, that real self is always present. It is all pervading. We have to prepare the mind, the radio set, which is our mind. This radio set, we have to fine tune it. Wandering mind? No, I don't want. Fine tune. Fine tuning. Mind. The mind needs to be fine tuned. And that mind is fine tuned by, do you remember? Discernment, discretion. The knowledge of the real self is already here. If I do not become a seeker, forget about it. If I am a seeker with fine tuning of the mind by discernment, by dispassion, by inner orientation, by dropping the mind that is wandering, I can reach to, I can discover, I can reveal the knowledge of the real self. This is what the master is saying. We wake up in the morning and then we have a desire for accumulation either of recognition or other stuff. Why? Because we have projected happiness. You drop that projection, the mind is calm. You drop the projection of happiness outside, the mind is calm. You drop it. Means you don't make an effort. You know it. You discover it. You realize it here and now. So this master says, that is why this master says the action or the effort cannot work when we are a seeker. Seeker realizes this. Seeker understands this. Then in the 10th verse, this master says that real self is existence, consciousness, and bliss. Another point to understand, it's a discovery. It is not a creation. It is not a production. Newton, Einstein, and other scientists, they discovered the natural laws of the universe. They did not create it. Same way, this master says that real self is already present here. You need not to create and produce happiness. You need to discover it. It is here and now. And the discovery needs the self-inquiry. And that brings an end to the suffering. Why? I have already answered that. So Eastern wisdom educates the mind, to drop the attachment and detachment, to unfold that real self. To unfold. It is already present. So in the 10th verse, first he says that this self is existence, consciousness, and bliss. Then he further says it demands only the self-inquiry, unfolding, not any creation. It is nearest to you, it is you. The master says it is only you. So it means we are the source of happiness. We are happiness. The moment the mind projects happiness first and then it tries to limit itself that I will be happy in this situation with that person, in that condition, that creates an illusion. Perhaps that is what I covered last time, that I like you, that first I liking comes into the mind as a thought. That thought matures. It means I'm constantly repeating. How I'm repeating? Look at the brandy, is very soft and gentle. First thing. Then second thought. Then third thought, all about brandy, all pertaining to the liking. And then result is whether I give example of brandy or Sam or anyone. You see that? So the mind creates a condition that I like it, I'll be happy. You remove that condition of liking and disliking. And then see, is the mind ready to be happy? You have touched the real self. And that liking causes the attachment causes the sorrow and the suffering, it results into delusion. And everything is happening in the thought, everything is happening in the mind. Who knows? A person likes me and the second person dislikes me. It does not make me good or bad at the same time. So if we remove that, we unfold that. We remove that attachment and detachment. Then we realize the source of happiness is within me. Otherwise, if I like and dislike, the source of happiness is now limited to person A, not to B, to C, not to D, to pasta, not to chicken, or to the chicken, not to the pasta, to the t-shirt Stephen is wearing. This appears very good. See that? It demands a constant thinking, and thinking. Thinking means contemplation and reflection. You filter out all that is not required. So when constant contemplation and reflection makes the mind mature, you are the seeker, you touch the real self. Simple. The verse 9, we love everything for the sake of the self as we love the self the most. That is what I covered in the very beginning, that happiness comes, that happiness is realized without any effort, without any action. Take an example. Person A hates person B. Can you love in hate? The answer is no. Now, person A loves person B, they take care of themselves, and that means person A feels that I'm being taken care of, hence, I should love that person. So, I love for the sake of myself. Pay attention. I love for the sake of myself all the time. Did you understand that? If I hate someone, that is not the source of love because I hate, then I leave that person. But I do not understand that the source of love is inside, not outside. We love ourselves the most. And that we love ourselves the most, and that love is love coming from the real self. Because the self is within. You see, the desire to live forever comes from that real self. The moment you recognize desire to live forever, why? Because I love myself. Do you see that? Intellectually in the beginning, and gradually we see that. This is what the master is talking in these 4 verses. Then we will go deeper from the next week, little deeper. See the other reasoning this master gives, the love should have a possessor or owner. When I say I love you, I am the owner. I. What is this I? This I is the real self. If this is the mind, then I am attached. Then my love is limited. Then I am in delusion. Do you see that? Intellectually, you see that. The more and more you see by constant contemplation and reflection, you enter into that state of meditation. So, from the 10th verse, I return again to the verse number 7. This is wonderful verse. I talked about happiness without effort is me, and that is the real self. So, this master says, when you find that real self, you will discover this real self remains the same after days, weeks, months, and years. Every day we are waking up, we are sleeping and dreaming, but that self, that happiness remains same deep inside, behind the mind. That self is the same in the past when we were born, same in the present, same will remain in the future. So he uses a beautiful word. He says this self is not like a sun who rises and sets. It is always present. It never rises. It never sets. That self which never rises and sets is pure existence. It is pure consciousness. And that consciousness is of the nature of happiness. That self is always shining behind and beyond the thought, speech, and action. Our thought, speech, and action, mixed with the likes and dislikes, causes the attachment, creates the veil, and hides this real self. No, no, my honey doesn't love me. So obviously, where you are not a seeker. You're not trying to understand. No, no, I don't have resources to be happy. You are seeking something outside, some object for happiness. Why? Your mind says that object is the object of happiness. So the mind forgets where the happiness is located. So we don't desire that freedom. So we are caught, we are attached, we hate, we jealousy, we suffer. Previously, also, I gave an example of a sweetness of a sugar. You are a sugar cube. Sweetness is your essential nature. Real self is our essential nature. You put the sugar near the salt, sugar remains the sweet. You mix into the water, it remains sweet. You put it anywhere, into the small jar and a big jar. Small jar, I don't have so much of resources. Big jar, I have all the resources. Do you see that? So what is that? What is that point? The point is the sweetness remains the same. That real self does not become small if you live in a small house. Does not become big if you live in a big house. It is not stretched, huh, if you are driving a luxury car. You see that? Pick up the object, person, thing, relationship, situation, condition. They are not influencing the mind. How it cannot influence the mind? In the state of discernment and dispassion. When you are into that state of discernment and dispassion, the mind acts like a mirror, and that mind reflects the real self. You stand before the mirror and say, okay, now show me. There is no effort is required. It is only an awareness. But that awareness is very clear. The image that you see in the object that you see is an image. You are here. You're outside the mirror. Are you? No, we know, we understand that. Don't teach us. No, no, I'm just telling you. But in case of daily living, what happens? Pay attention. That example is worth understanding. That you look yourself into the mirror, you take a paste into the toothbrush, and you start brushing the teeth into the mirror. This is what we do when we are in anxiety, reaction, anger, blame, complaint. We never do it. Especially, in case of brush, we brush our teeth here and we see there. But when it comes to attachment and disliking and hate and blame, we do just the opposite. I reflect. You are responsible for my sorrow and suffering, or you are responsible for my love. But I'm the source of love. Think of this. So what happens, last point, what happens when the mind lives into that awareness, it discovers, the same mind declares that I am not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm not the ego. Who am I? I am the existence, consciousness, bliss. So we'll cover all those seven. I remember teachings of another master who says, Mano buddhir ahankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jibhai nacha ghrana netre nacha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayu chidananda rupa shivoham shiv. That mind declares that I'm not this body, mind, intellect, and ego. I am the real self. I am the source of the joy. I am the happiness. Yes, let us, for the sake of the practice, non practice, close your eyes. Close your eyes, body is steady.